back. Good word. How's everybody doing today? Got my eyes on the road, and I thought I would multitask, and as promised, talk a little bit about self-worth, because that has been a huge topic the last few weeks, especially with all of the beautiful ladies that have been working on the 222 Restore Your Golden Foundation, Rebuild Your Golden Foundation. So for anybody that wants a little insight on the manifestation of your self-worth, because it's such a broad topic, legit, it's such a broad for everybody. I can tell you that I'd say that my clientele is about 85-90% women. And I do work with some wonderful men, a couple selected few that, not selected few, but the ones that, are seeking my guidance and wisdom. And what I want to talk about is self-worth, because that affects males and females, of course. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about this, because it's going to pertain to both sexes, of course, as it does. And I think so many of us are really working on self-worth. And so I wanted to chat about this because I always pay attention to what's going around me, and I pay attention to my sessions, and I pay attention to what's happening in my personal life. And I wanted to see if anybody who watched the reading the other day about power, and then it was followed by Heartache and Loss was a past card. So Heartache and Loss was in the past. And then the card in the future was Deceit and Envy. And so I was curious if any of you had that come into fruition. If any of the last couple of days sort of brought up deceit for you, and did you stay in your power? Because that's really what the card was about, and the cards never lie. And so when I was in the city, it was so interesting to just observe, as I also talked about that, to just observe that, somebody's going to lie to you or not show up for you, and deceive themselves and you or whatever, to stay in your power. Because sometimes when we allow those types of situations to occur, or we've attracted those types of situations, there's always something to take your own glasses off and kind of look behind the curtain. And so I just was curious if any of you had, if any of that made sense for anybody, because it certainly did for me. And I did pull that card for something personal, but I was very guided to share it, and now I understand why. So this is the segue to this little Drive With Me episode, where I will talk about the worth of who you are, because in truth, every minute of your life is a crucial and important and beautiful moment for you to choose and to be immersed in the joys, the pleasures, the happiness, the passion, and the shit show that life brings. But when you know that you are a powerful creator, I'm just gonna clear the tear out of my eye here because my eye is watering. I gotta keep my eyes on the road, and I do apologize. I know that some of these Drive With Me episodes can be frustrating to listen to, in the sense that it's loud in the background, but I'm just really guided to do them because it's a good way for me to chat and for you to gain insight for free, and yeah, for me to talk, because I'm a Gemini and that's what I do for a living. I talk. So how lucky of me that I get paid to talk. So this is curious, because what I want to talk about is the worth and your wounds, because they are connected. But spirit always wants us to go simple, okay? And that's the beauty of channeling spirit, is it's always about when your worth is not up to par. Whatever you're attracting is solely an indication of what needs to be worked on, So applaud yourself that if you've attracted a situation that's maybe called you up to the plate to say, like, what do I need to see here? What do I need to do here? Be proud that you've called that experience in so that you could reevaluate where your self-worth is at, because we're going to go through periods in our life where we feel very valuable and possibly periods where we don't. And now what I'm going to talk about is that worth and the connection to trauma. And I, as always, talk very, very deeply about personal experiences because I feel like that keeps me authentic. It keeps me human, even though I'm a very powerful, energetic light worker and I have deep abilities to help myself and others shift. I'm human, so I still get to learn. And so this weekend, I made a little mistake. I hardly ever give gift certificates, and there's a reason for that. As much as I love to gift and give, and I do give a lot of sessions away in a year, especially when it comes to people losing partners or, if they're struggling with money and I feel like, I really want to help them, then I do. And so as I was creating my new solid foundation, one of the things in my patterns was, being really generous with my time, being really generous with my forgiveness, being really generous with forgiving people that really don't respect me. And one of the flip sides of the golden nugget of those experiences and those patterns was to identify where to create a solid boundary. And so part of that is like, I don't want to give gift certificates anymore. It's like, I'm not going to do it. And so I had a weak moment because I really, kind of enjoyed this particular person and I wanted to just sort of assist them. And so I gave them a gift certificate and they didn't show up. They didn't show up. And I was just like, wow, you had a free session with me and you didn't show up. And this was my mistake because I had gifted this person before. And I never, as many of you know, I never give discounts and I never give gift certificates anymore. And so I had a weak moment in that because when you build a new foundation, if you have committed to this course, when you build a new foundation and you get it structured, which is what this course is about, you will see that yourself is going to test you. It's going to be like, okay, girl, you're not going to give away free gifts anymore. Because people don't respect it, right? If somebody pays for a session, they value it. If someone, pays, which I always suggest for any light workers out there, that actually you receive payment before the person shows up to see you, because if something happens in their life, you are still covered and you're not losing a precious hour of your life where you could have put somebody else in there. Okay, so I felt very, very disrespected by this person. That, you know what, my time is valuable. Every minute and every hour of my life is divinely precious because I'm great and I can see the greatness in you, but I'm not going to devalue myself, right? So this was a hard one, but this is also why I'm talking passionately about the value of who you are. Like I talked about before, you've seen chefs sell the exact same dessert, for like $1.25, and then you'll see a chef who's in his power and who knows or has the cocky ability to be like, actually, this dessert is going to cost you $20, So there is a value to who you are and what you do. And when you really get that, when you really, really, really get that, and when I do coaching with people, we actually go through a process where I take you through the logistics of your life, your cost of living. I take you through the cost of living of the lifestyle you want to live. And then we talk about how much energy it takes to be a light worker, right? How much energy it takes to show up, to self-care, to fit people into your world, to coach people through their stuff. And the amount of energy that takes requires you to be super full. So I was standing in the dollar store. Well, I wasn't standing in the dollar store, but I was shopping in the dollar store for some of the retreat things that's coming up. Our sold out retreat. That was another test in worth. So I want you guys to trust that when you decide on what is a proper price point for you in your services, in your sessions, in your business, whatever that business is, whatever your life is, that's a good place to start. Is like, what is my value per hour, right? Every hour and every minute is important, and you really start to look at things differently that way. Excuse me, that way. So, back to the dollar store. I'm buying a bunch of stuff for the retreat, and there's this woman on speakerphone with her phone in her pocket, and in just the conversation went along this line. I don't know what to do. I'm so tired of always hosting dinner for my family. And because my kids are not going to be around to help me out, I am not going to host dinner because I just don't have it in me to be with my family and stress myself out. And so I'm like, she was going on and on about this. And so it sounded like she was having a really hard time, telling her family that she had a boundary, telling her family that their expectation of her was no longer okay. And then also in this conversation, I heard her say, and that guy didn't text me back, and that just totally threw me for a loop. And I went, yeah, that guy didn't text you back. And I remember being there, and I remember when I decided to stop with the jerks and the players and the scrubs sitting in the other side of the backseat car. I remember going through this process of like, I am so done with that type of guy, right? And so to hear her kind of be in this place of like, oh, and then this guy didn't text me back and I'm so bummed out about it, and kind of overhearing her conversation, I wanted to hand her my card, but I was like, I could see exactly what was going on. She was going back to her inner child wounds of not being heard, not being seen, being told she was too sensitive or too much, trying to stand into the role of provider by cooking and hosting dinner and sweating and doing all the work to kind of please the parental archetype. I'm going to just put this in here as well, because I'm going to do a whole nother video about stop expecting like the approval from your parents, because those of us that are light workers and step up into this psychic and spiritual work, the family usually will be like, ooh, how you gonna make a living doing that? I don't know. And you got to trust that you can. It's very possible, especially when you're doing something you deeply love and you're passionate about. So with this texting from the guy, I was like, okay, I can totally see what's happening with this woman. She's reflecting and attracting from her place of not being good enough, right? She's trying to please and she's trying to appease, and so now she's attracted a guy who doesn't know her value and doesn't know her worth and isn't respecting her. So what I can say here is that we treat ourselves the way that we expect other people to treat us, right? So what I suggest is that you love yourself up, get the massages, get the facials, go to the retreats, give yourself the wellness time, read the book, have the tea, do all the sensual and sexual things as well, because that's very important. But I also want to say that if you're attracting relationships that are not valuing you, are not respecting you over and over, the beauty of that guidance system is only there to show you where you need to stand up for yourself. So just like me giving out a free gift certificate to this woman who did not show up, that's the end of that. I'm like, okay, that felt like shit. That felt crappy. Here I am again, feeling shitty because I overgave and I'm not valuing myself, and therefore she's not valuing herself. So I attracted that situation. I took the ownership. Somebody who's in a victim mindset, or if they're narcissistic, they're going to play the victim, right? So keep that in mind. Don't be the narcissist. Don't be the victim. Understand that you attracted that situation just like she attracted the guy who is not texting her back. So she's teaching that man how to treat her. Does that make sense? When we teach people how to treat us, okay? So the minute that you meet a man, a woman, a partner, a client, you need to be so solid in your standards that if that person cannot meet your standard of your expectation through what you had communicated, cut them off from the get-go. The minute you sit in front of them, this is not going to work for me. I gave you a gift certificate, or we promised to meet at this hour and you didn't show up. Why are you talking yourself through anything in your mind that would renegotiate that? Do you see what I'm saying? So just like this woman in the dollar store, this guy is not texting me back. I can totally guarantee that prior to me overhearing that conversation, she had allowed that guy to treat her less than what her standard was. Okay, so women, when it comes to manifesting a partner, whether it be a Mr. Now or a Mr. Right, you need to get so strong and clear in where your values and your standards are and where you're not going to settle for less, and be so clear in what you want to attract that anybody that cannot meet you in that place is a non-negotiable. Okay, so if you have inner child wounds, or if you've had some loss or trauma which knocked down your self-worth, or if you got stuck in a relationship that was abusive mentally, please do the work. Please do the work, because if you've been abused mentally in a narcissistic union, there will be brain damage. If you've had a loss that maybe you had a hard time getting out of or coming out of, that can cause depression, and that can cause the brain to shut down. Okay, so any experiences like that, or if you're just simply working through like inner child stuff, okay, if people aren't showing up for you, or in your life, if people weren't emotionally available, or maybe they're still not emotionally available, your energy is going to be in that pattern of trying to please, appease, and get noticed and all of that. So don't judge yourself for that. Don't judge yourself for that. Dear God, please do not judge yourself for that. Put your hand on your heart, and just like you would a 2-year-old child, let yourself have the cry, or get angry, or do the emotional thing, or whatever. Okay, if you can't honor the emotion, you can't get to the other side of it. So really remember that if things are not working for you, especially in the love department, or if you're over giving or over generous, and part of your new foundation is to identify that, remember that the spirit of you is going to test you, that when you move forward through this new build of your strong foundation, that the old shit is going to come up in your face and be like, hi, remember me? I'm here to do this again. And you're going to go, actually, no, I built my new foundation. I established what's going to work for me and what's not going to work for me. And, giving out free gift certificates is not going to work for me. So if you'd like to see me again, you're going to have to buy a session. And if you don't show up, then that's up to you, right? Then I've been paid. I haven't wasted my time. So as bittersweet as this is, when you stand in your value and you really decide that I'm not going to F around anymore for whatever part of your life this is, remember the test will come. I also highly suggest a self ceremony. Okay, so I actually married myself. I literally bought a dress. I bought a ring, a very lovely ring, by the way, like a gorgeous, huge ring. And I got my hair done. Well, I actually did my hair myself. And I hired my brother to drive me to my wedding venue on a moped in this gorgeous dress. It was hilarious. And I said vows to myself. And I put on my own ring. And one of the vows was to not ever give myself away, or put myself to the point of detriment for somebody else. Again, my husband, my children, a boyfriend, a husband. I was like, I will never put myself in such a downward spiral that I, can hardly function in the world because of anybody. And I've really honored that truth. But I can tell you that from having a lot of heartache and loss in the past, it's kind of brought things up to challenge that again. And now when you do a ceremony and you make commitments to yourself, when you write these vows, I will help you do that in a session if you choose. If you write these vows, when you find yourself breaking them, you're going to have something to go back to, just like a marriage. Even when I married my husband, I was like, babe, I love you. I will not promise you anything that I don't think I can hold myself accountable for. So we had very simple vows. Well, they were very loving and cheesy, but there was no like, till death do us apart, blah, blah, blah. Like, no. I just know myself, and I was like, I can't guarantee that I'm going to love you forever. I want to love you forever, and I hope I'm going to love you forever, but I'm not saying that, because as you might know, in my career, we counsel, but we also cancel a lot of vows. Okay, we cancel a lot of vows to poverty. We cancel a lot of vows to submission. We cancel a lot of, like, sex slave vows. You name it. All the shit comes up. So when you're kind of in this cycle of the world, some of these things are going to come up and be like, oh, you remember that? Oh no, I canceled that vow. So just keep that in mind. Okay, just keep that in mind. Do not put yourself on sale, for the love of God. If I put myself on sale, it's a very rare thing. And I do it once in a blue moon, but you're going to see me doing that a lot less. But I definitely am very generous, and that's something that I really intend to keep in my heart, because it's just who I am. I'm a generous person, and when you're a generous person, people will take advantage of that. And if people are going to take advantage of you, that is your beautiful indicator through that negative emotion that comes up with it, that something needs to shift. Okay, so take note of where there's been deception, or where there's been a sense of lack of worth, or where maybe somebody hasn't shown up or appreciated your time and your value, and just go back inward. Nurture yourself beautifully. Forgive yourself first. Lick your wounds, and then get the hell out of the trap and rewire your value. Okay, rewire your worth, and remember that we're all human. We're all human, and all of these things are tests from yourself. So when you know about the law of manifestation, you know that you attracted this for a reason. And there's a good chance that if you attracted somebody that wasn't worthy of your gift, that they're probably not feeling worthy of themselves, and it really and likely has nothing to do with you. Remember that too. Don't take it personal. This is someone else's value, right? So you're the one who can say, no thanks, no more gift certificates. All right, I love you. And if this resonates with you and you feel you need to reestablish your own new foundation, because I can tell you this shit works, because I always apply and take on my own programs. It's like, well, if I'm going to teach somebody this, I'm going to do this myself. And then I hold myself accountable to walk that talk. So I love you, and I will catch you later. And it's going to be a crazy week. Oh my God. It's pretty funny to be like, I'm going to host this retreat to calm people down, but I've been feeling a little bit like a crazy person. I always think I want to move back to the city, and then I'm there for like 3 nights, and I'm like, okay, I'm happy to go back to the mountains or the ocean. It's nuts. Edmonton is nuts, especially all the construction right now. It's just like, holy shizoo, what the fuck? So I'm very happy to be driving in the fall leaves, kicking up my speed to a whole fast 100, and going home to my family. And we will be on a beach in less than 10 days. Holy shit, I'm not stressed out. I am calm and relaxed, and hosting a retreat about harvesting the lessons so that we can reward ourselves with divinity and yummy, beautiful things, because really that's what we all need, is more life and less living. Okay, bye.